lot to talk about. Oh man, if you guys are on my Discord, I was giving notifications about everything that was happening this morning. About the jury coming back with a note, jury comes back again, and then ultimately, if you are following the case, in which a lot of you guys probably are, or if you're in the Discord, you guys will know that there is a mistrial. They declared it for the Karen Reed trial. Hi, Alec, how are you doing today? Thanks for popping in. I appreciate it on Twitch. Hi. So we have a lot to talk about. So I want to watch the footages with you guys, and then we're gonna read the Commonwealth statement, and we're going to hear from the Karen Reed defense team. So I'm so glad that I have you guys to talk to this case about, because if I was just here on my own, I'd be all over all the different streams and like, I don't know. This case is wild. And I remember when I told you guys that I told you I had a nightmare about this, where my nightmare was the mistrial was declared. It was for other reasons. It wasn't because the jury couldn't decide. It was a misinterpretation of what the jury wanted, and then the judge was like, oh, well, you guys fucked up, so we're just going to mistrial it. Oh, boy. So, yeah, mistrial for the Karen Reed stuff. I mean, it's been, what, over 2 months now since this case has started? I think this case started at the end of April. We're now in the beginning of July. Hi, Posy Rosie. Yes, it has been declared a mistrial. We'll watch this together, and... Oh, go blah, 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 blah. I hope you guys had a good weekend, though. What a way to start the Monday. Oh, boy. Yeah, what a way to start the Monday. I hope you guys are doing well. Also, my microphone, I have to make some adjustments to it, but I don't know if I'm a little bit low today. I turned my gain down because I think you guys were hearing too much of my inhales. So I turned it down. I don't know if that helps, but I might need to tinker around with the microphone. I don't know if I'm a lot lower than usual. But let me know if it sounds better, or if you're just like, Corgi, I can't really hear you. It's not good. You think the prosecution needs to be less confusing and concise? Listen, I think his presentation of the case was just all over the place. It felt very sloppy to me, and it kind of felt like even he wasn't sure what happened to John O'Keefe, and he was just trying to throw everything together and maybe see what sticks. It was kind of a, Okay, so I'm low right now. Okay, I'll boost it up by 1, maybe 2 notches. Maybe 2 notches. I know, I think this is my normal audio right here. Okay, I'm gonna turn it down by 1 actually. Let's try this one. Because when I was editing myself, I was like, damn, you could really hear me breathing. I don't want to hear all the inhales and all that stuff. So, and I do take big breaths when I talk, because I have a hard time with breathing management when I talk. But yeah. Let's just start from the very beginning of today. So the jury, they were deliberating this morning. And if you guys remember, last Friday, the jury gave a note. Was it Friday, right? I think it was Friday. Gave a note to the judge and was like, hey, we can't come to a unanimous decision. The judge is like, well, y'all need to deliberate a little bit more. This trial was over 9 weeks long. And I think, have some lunch, think about it, and see where you guys are at. And of course, she sends them back in. They eat their lunch. And she was like, hey, do you guys want to be sent home early today? The jury was like, oh, you know what? Let's stay another half an hour till, I think, was it like 4:15 or something? They stayed till 4:15, and then still nothing. So the judge sends them home. They have the weekend to not think about it, Don't think about it over the weekend. Over the weekend, enjoy your weekend. Wait until Monday to come back and talk to your fellow juror members and see where you guys are at. So Monday rolls around, and it is today. And this is what happens. Oh, we got the fan here. Sorry, I didn't get the exact time. Oh, we're about to be there soon. Sarah, how are you doing today? How's it going? Hey, Tuco. Oh, you know what's crazy about this? I woke up this morning and I was like, okay, let me go on Law and Crime. And right when I went into Law and Crime stream, the fan was like jittering a little bit. I was like, wait, there's movement in the courtroom. And I got in there just in time. Yeehaw, you here?
All right. So, jurors, I am in receipt of your note. Judge Cannoni, despite our commitment to the duty entrusted to us, we find ourselves deeply divided by fundamental differences in our opinions and state of mind.
And I wonder, is it the foreperson that's writing these notes? Because these notes are really well written. even from the first note that was sent to the judge, I think they covered their bases and they did a really good job at writing it out. I would have just been like, can't decide, no unanimous vote. Okay, we're done.
The divergence in our views are not rooted in a lack of understanding or effort, but deeply held convictions that each of us carry, ultimately leading to a point where consensus is unattainable.
Deeply held conviction. So it's not like they don't understand the evidence or what's been presented to them. It's that they each have deeply rooted convictions and they can't come to a vote. What happens now after a mistrial? Well, the state can decide whether or not they want to retry again, and they have announced that they are going to retry Karen Reed, which I'm really surprised they would announce it so soon, unless maybe they know, because we don't know what the jury poll is. We don't know how many people thought maybe they were leaning not guilty, how many people thought they were leaning guilty, how many people weren't sure. We don't know what the numbers are. Maybe they know, and maybe based off of that, they're like, okay, well, let's move forward and let's do a retry again, because the DA, Michael Morrissey, announced that. And I wonder if Lolly agreed to it. I wonder if Lolly's like, yeah, let's do the retry. If Lolly's like, oh, fudge. Hi, Taxi.
We recognize the weight of this admission and the implications it holds. So, Mr. Foreman and members of the jury, I have an instruction for you. Our Constitution and laws provide that in a criminal case, the principal method for deciding questions of fact is the verdict of a jury. In most cases, and perhaps strictly speaking in all cases, absolute certainty cannot be attained, nor is it expected. The verdict to which each juror agrees must, of course, be his or her own verdict.
So this is the judge trying to give the jury a bit of a push, like, hey, are you guys sure you guys can't come to a unanimous decision? Are there some positions maybe you can rethink? As long as you're not just doing it just because you want to get the day over with, and you just want to move on to the holiday weekend, whatever. But are you sure there are some things you haven't considered yet? Like maybe you guys can really come to a unanimous verdict.
The result of his or her own convictions, and not merely an acquiescence in the conclusions of the other jurors. Still, in order to bring 12 minds to a unanimous result, you must examine the issues you have to decide with candor and with a proper regard and respect for each other's opinions. You should consider that it is desirable that this case be decided. You have been selected in the same manner and from the same source as any future jury would be selected. There is no reason to suppose that this case will ever be submitted to 12 persons who are more intelligent, more impartial, or more competent to decide it than you are.
Really? I would be surprised if she would do that. Karen was going to take a plea before the FBI investigation. Where was that reported? I would be very surprised to hear that she'd be considering taking a plea.
Or that more or clearer evidence will be produced at another trial. With all this in mind, it is your duty to decide this case if you can do so conscientiously. In order to make a decision more attainable, the law always imposes the burden of proof on the Commonwealth to establish every essential element of each indictment beyond a reasonable doubt. If you are left with a reasonable doubt as to any essential element of any indictment, then the defendant is entitled to the benefit of that doubt and must be found not guilty on that indictment. In conferring together, you ought to give proper respect to each other's opinions and listen with an open mind to each other's arguments.
Hey, Iris.
Where there is disagreement, those jurors who would find the defendant not guilty should consider whether the doubt in their own minds is a reasonable one, if it makes no impression upon the minds of the other jurors, who are equally honest and equally intelligent, who have heard the same evidence with the same attention, who have an equal desire to arrive at the truth, and who have taken the same oath as jurors. At the same time, those jurors who would find the defendant guilty ought seriously to ask themselves whether they may not reasonably doubt the correctness of their judgment if it is not shared by other members of the jury. They should ask themselves whether they should distrust the weight or sufficiency of the evidence if it has failed to convince the minds of their fellow jurors beyond a reasonable doubt. I will now ask you, Mr. Foreman, and members of the jury to return to your deliberations with these instructions in mind And as with my final instructions and the supplemental instructions I sent in, I will send in a copy of this charge as well. All right, so may that be marked, Madam Court Reporter, please. All right, so thank you. We'll send you folks back out to deliver.
All rise for the court, please. Jurors, follow me.
Oh man, poor victim's mom. She looks guilty. I mean, what does a guilty person look like? Greetings, Captain. Hello. Greetings. 9 weeks. Yeah. Very long time. So that was the judge giving the Tui Rodriguez charge to the jury. Now, I wanted to read this here. This is from the Suffolk County. I just drag this over here. Oh, no, I can't. No, it's a different browser. Give me 1 second. I wanted to read this page to you guys because I thought it was really interesting how the original Allen charge evolved. So failure to reach a verdict and the Tui charge. Can y'all see that? The requirement that a jury be unanimous in his verdict carries with it the chance that a verdict will not be reached. There's a tension between, on one hand, respect for the jury's role as a fact finder and a concomitant desire to avoid any coercion of a decision from a jury. And on the other hand, the desire to avoid expenditure of resources in trying a case twice. If after some time deliberation, the amount determined within the judge's discretion, the jury has not reached a verdict and seems deadlocked, the judge may instruct the jury with a dynamite or Tui charge. Under the original Tui charge, the jury was instructed in substance that the case should be decided and can as well by them as any other jury. So that's, the judge has reinforced this, I think twice already when she was talking to the jury, like, hey, like, you know, you guys are the best people to do this. Like, we've selected you guys can do it. You know, if we get anyone else on here, they're going to be tasked with doing the same thing. So you guys are just as good as anyone else. And so that kind of gives like a boost of morale probably for the jury, and that the minority should reconsider their positions in light of the positions of majority. So that's what the initial instructions used to be, that the minority should consider their position in light of the positions of the majority. They changed that though. So it's like not just like targeting the people in the minority and like pressuring them to change their mind. They changed it so it's like, okay, how about everyone consider the opposings, consider your opposing the oppositions and see if you can maybe change your mind, you know, reevaluate the evidence, talk amongst yourself, blah, 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 blah. So I think that's a good change that they made. Instead of just be like, hey, minority people, we're looking at you. Okay. Y'all need to change your fucking mind because we don't want a mistrial. I feel like once they go back to the jury room to deliberate, the minority people are just going to feel really pressured to just change their mind just cause. All right. So the charge was modified by Commonwealth v. Rodriguez. The primary change in the instruction is from a statement that the minority jurors should re-examine their position to a statement that the jurors, respectively, so everyone, all y'all need to reconsider your position, possibly, for acquittal or for conviction, should re-examine their positions in light of the position of those with opposite positions. The charge was also purged of an assertion that the case must be decided at some time. So before it used to be like, okay, y'all need to like, come on, hurry it up, let's do it. Time is ticking. But now it's like, okay, y'all, take your time. There's no time limit or anything. Take your time in deciding and see what you can come up with. Hi, Joseph. How are you doing today? Hi, Corgi. Hello. You don't think it's up to Lolly? You think his boss is the one making these decisions? I mean, I'm sure the DA made the decision. I don't know if he talked to Lolly or not, but I think Lolly can have a decision and say that like, hey, you know what? I don't want to do it. Get someone else to do it. I ain't doing it. Goodbye. So we'll see if Mr. Lolly is still going to be on it, if he still wants to do it, or if he's also on board, with Morrissey. Ooh, I lost where was I? They should re-examine. The charge was also purged of an assertion the case must be decided at some time. Okay, talk about that. Notwithstanding the modifications, the court noted that the charge has a sting, and our approval of it is not to be taken as an indication that it may be used prematurely or without evident cause. Stronger language clearly courts a reversal. With or without benefit of the Tui Rodriguez charge, the judge may determine that the jury is not going to reach a verdict and may declare a mistrial. Mistrial. And discharge them. All right, let's go to the next portion of the day. So a couple hours passed, we're now in hour 26. Jury's been deliberating, and I think it's been about 3 hours since. Probably about 3 hours since.
Thank you. Be seated. Closing session.
22-117 Commonwealth versus Karen Reed.
All right, the jury is at an impasse. So So we'll bring them in.
Straight to the point, Judge. Just straight to the point. Do you guys think the majority of the jury is probably voting guilty or not guilty? Based on how this letter is written, I will answer that. But that's me making assumptions based on how the letter is written. Hey, Aaron. I don't know if I said hi to you earlier, or maybe you just popped in. I mean, hey, if Lolly retries this, maybe he'll have a little bit more of an upbeat, you know? Maybe he'll be a little bit more... Maybe he'll be different. We'll see. Jury's coming in. Oh, boy. You sure Karen's LA lawyer is thrilled about the possibility of returning to Massachusetts again?
Close the session, please be seated.
All right, Mr. Foreman, I am in receipt of your note. Judge Cannoni, despite our rigorous efforts, we continue to find ourselves at an impasse.
The family must really be devastated. His mom looked really devastated. She was crying, and I was watching a live stream somewhere else, and there were some people that were so mean to his mom. It was pretty fucking wild. They were like, "Oh, stop with the fake crying." It's like she's like upset because she doesn't know what happened to her son, or maybe she thinks she knows, and then she wants a verdict to go a certain way. But I mean, she just seems genuinely upset because she's gonna have to come back. If they retry it, right, she's gonna have to come back, sit there, listen to all the testimonies all over again, and just basically just redo this. There's no conclusion at this point.
Our perspectives on the evidence are starkly divided. Some members of the jury firmly believe that the evidence surpasses the burden of proof, establishing the elements of the charges beyond a reasonable doubt. Conversely, others find the evidence fails to meet this standard and does not sufficiently establish the necessary elements of the charges.
Now, because it's written like that, some members believe that reasonable doubt was established. So I think they might be the minority. I mean, that's me like really looking into like the letter and the way it's written. Also, whoever's writing these letters, or maybe they're doing it collectively, these letters are amazing. They're doing such a good job with that. I think that the minority are the people that think that it is guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. And then maybe the majority are the ones that are, hey, we're not really quite sure. It seems to be lack of evidence. But let's listen to that again.
Passes the burden. Some members of the jury firmly believe that the evidence surpasses the burden of proof, establishing the elements of the charges beyond a reasonable doubt. Conversely, others find the evidence fails to meet this standard and does not sufficiently establish the necessary elements of the charges. The deep division is not due to a lack of effort or diligence, but rather a sincere adherence to our individual principles and moral convictions. To continue to deliberate would be futile and only serve to force us to compromise these deeply held beliefs. I'm not going to do that to you folks. Your service is complete. I'm declaring a mistrial in this case. I'll be in to see you privately in a few minutes. So thank you so much for your service. Okay.
All rise for the court, please.
So she's going to see them privately. I wonder if that's when, like, is she able to see them privately and be like, okay, y'all, so what's the poll on this? Like, how divided are we? And then was she able to pass it along to the attorneys? Because I want to know, why did the Commonwealth decide to say, hey, we're going to retry it? And like they announced it like ASAP. I thought they would wait a little bit. Moondog! Oh God, no, not that sound effect. Moondog, thank you so much for the 23 months. Oh gosh, I'm sorry, you two folks. I have some interesting sound effects on my Twitch thing. Moondog, thank you. I appreciate it. I hope you had a good weekend, and I hope everyone here had a good weekend. You're at an impasse with Lally. Reed can sue now as well. I just don't know how much resources she has, because if she wants this like a team of attorneys again, Yannetti, Jackson, I don't know if she just wants to get through the criminal proceedings and then, maybe focus on the civil stuff in the future. I think right now it'd be smart to just focus on the criminal. Like, let's focus on the big thing first, and then we'll go to the civil stuff in the future somehow.
Thank you. Be seated. Court is still in session.
All right, I'd like to pick a status date to find out what our next move is. So I'd like to come back sometime maybe the end of July. I understand people have vacation schedules.
I'm gonna forward through this a little bit.
Can we come in the week of the 21st?
That's fine.
I'll just look at my calendar. Could we do the 22nd at 2 p.m. Ron?
I was trying to find out about the polling thing. From what I've researched so far, and it's been like very like, it says that judge has a discretion on whether or not they want to poll the jury. But a lot of the examples that I read was usually when there is a verdict, and then the attorney can ask for a polling at the end. But it seems like it's at the judge's discretion if they want to or not. And I mean, honestly, if I was the judge, I could see why you wouldn't want to announce the poll, maybe. But if you were the attorneys, it would be very helpful to know, okay, so how many people were on the fence? How many people thought there was, guilty beyond a reasonable doubt? How many people were just like, no, the state didn't meet its burden at all? So, I mean, I think for the attorneys, it'd be great to know what the polling is. Just see, it's kind of like a rating of like how decently you did. But I mean, it could help for the future. But then again, like, you never know what batch of juries you're going to get in the future. So.
And I would hear from my client.
Is there another day that week? Could you do the 25th or 26th?
We'll get the poll from the jurors and the press. I don't know. I haven't heard anything about that, but maybe.
Unfortunately, I think I'm supposed to be for vacation on the 25th.
Okay, the 22nd and the 24th are not great dates. So
What about the 19th and 9th? Is that whole week?
no, that week's not good.
You don't want to, but I feel like you probably would, right?
22nd. We'll go back to the 22nd at 2. I can't let it go that long.
Your Honor, so for those, Mr. Boone and I are not available on the 22nd. We have a hearing in Los Angeles on the 22nd.
Okay.
We're proposing to appear remotely anyway.
Okay.
But for a status conference, I don't want the court to think it's disrespectful to the court, but Mr. Boone and I probably will not.
Okay. So you and your client will be here in person, Mr. Giannetti.
Okay.
All right. All right. Thank you. We'll see you then.
All rise.
So Gannetti, Karen Reed will be there in person. Here, I guess I'll slow it back down. And then Mr. Jackson and... Is her name Elizabeth? Elizabeth Little? We'll just conference in. And then after this, I want to read the brief statement by the Commonwealth, and then we'll listen to the little mini press conference that Jackson and Yannetti gave outside of the courtroom. I don't know if Karen spoke. I don't think she did. I think it was just the attorneys. Are they allowed to talk about what happened in the jury's deliberation? Unless there's a gag order, yeah, they can talk about it. They can be interviewed. I don't know if they want to. That's a lot of attention. But I would love to hear what was going on in the deliberation room. I would definitely be refreshing my YouTube feed to see if any of the jurors decide to speak out about this, because I'm so curious. Yeah, I mean, a lot of us want to know what's going on with the federal investigation. Or if we won't get any information at all. We'll see. Okay, so I think that's it for this feed. And then let me go over to X, Anjanette Levy. Mistrial has been declared in the matter of Commonwealth v. Karen Reed. Judge Beverly Cannoni set a status conference date of July 22nd, 2024 at 2 p.m. This is their statement. First, we want to thank the O'Keefe family for their commitment and dedication to this long process. They maintain sight of the true core of the case to find justice for John O'Keefe. The Commonwealth intends to retry this case. And I'm like thinking, I want to hear this coming out of Lolly. Like, is Michael Morrissey and Lolly, are they on the same boat about this? Like, is Lolly's like, hell yeah, let's do this. I'm going to be gung-ho. Like, I'm going to do much better. Or... I just want to know where I don't know. Maybe Lolly's going to be like, no, I don't want to do this. You do this or get someone else to do it. Is my voice cutting out or is it my connection? Oh, no. You're the only one who's brought it up so far. but it sounds fine. Okay, thank God. I'm like, oh, please, no audio connection issues, please. I did tweak my audio a little bit so you guys don't hear me breathing as much, but it's like a smidge of a, yeah. I have to go back and redo my audio, I think. When I was editing my video, I was like, damn, you could really hear me breathing. And I don't want you guys to hear me breathing like that. Okay, so they're going to retry the case. From what I've heard, if they want to retry the case, they have a year to retry the case. Now, if Karen Reed somehow, if she can't do it within a year, like if it's on her end, then maybe it can go, maybe more than a year before, her case is retried. But from what I've heard, the state, if they want to move forward, they have to retry the case within the year. So we don't know if it's going to be in a couple of months, less than a year. We'll see. We'll see where it's at. We'll have to, listen to this conference date, July 22nd, 2024. I just want to hear from Mr. Lawley, honestly. I want to see what I want to hear what Mr. Lawley is going to say. The state has nothing though. I don't know what Lawley can do. There's a lot of things that Lawley can do to improve, but I don't think there is anything Lawley can do to get to beyond a reasonable doubt, in my opinion. Like, I think he can present the case better. I think he can reorganize the witness list a little bit better and maybe not be so repetitive on certain, questions and, like we don't need repetitive testimony, right? About who was playing the game that night, the basketball game or the snow stuff. Like there's a lot of things that were just felt too repetitive to me where it's like, I feel like we don't need to do this, right? Or like some of the educational background or some of the, I think that happened a lot in the, with the paramedics and stuff and their credentials. But I don't think that Lawley can do anything different unless he just gets like a new set of experts. I don't know. Because at the end of the day, you still have the medical examiner who says this. You still have the medical examiner refer to the woman who focused on neurology. I think that's what it's, neurology, right? Where she examined the victim's like brain. And, we didn't really get, we got information out of it, but not like, oh, okay, he was hit by a car and this is what happened, XYZ and stuff like that, right? I don't know. I just don't know what Lawley could do better. Lawley could maybe replace Trooper Paul could be a huge one. Like, okay, well, instead of having Trooper Paul be the sole person to testify about the crash reconstruction, maybe get another expert in. But then again, we had the experts that testified for the defense and they did really good on the stand. They did really well. I don't know what Lawley can do differently, but I mean, if they play the trial, I'm definitely going to watch it. And imagine if we already thought Lawley was repetitive with during the first 9 weeks, imagine imagine Lawley redoing the case all over again. And then with the same witnesses, like, I think our patience will be very, 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 very thin, but who knows? Maybe he'll do better. Maybe, he'll go back, watch how he did, and then he'll make some major adjustments. And then lastly, I want to hop on to, let's see, where was they did like a little mini press conference. Is it this one? Oh, here it is. Boston 10.
Throughout this trial, and of course we heard them briefly on the steps of the courthouse afterward, do you think internally, in their private moments, they are considering this a victory for their side?
Oh, absolutely. It's a victory for the defense to do the information for them. So they have the option charges.
To listen, the defense attorney also did. We want.
Folks, this is what it looks like when you bring false charges against an innocent person. The Commonwealth did their worst. They brought the weight of the state based on spurious charges, based on compromised investigation and investigators and compromised witnesses. This is what it looks like. And guess what? They failed. They failed miserably, and they'll continue to fail. No matter how long it takes, no matter how long they keep trying, we will not stop fighting.
I agree. Lawley only has rotted material to work with. There's no way around it. He can sprinkle 18-karat gold all over this. Won't change anything about that stank, though. He's always going to have a problem with Proctor. Yep. Medical examiner, technical experts, Trooper Paul. The inconsistent statements of the McCabe's. I can't substitute Paul because he was there. Paul who? Everything Proctor or Higgins touched should be considered fruit of the poisonous tree. Yeah, I mean, there's just too much. I know that we were giving Lawley shit, but at the same time, Lawley didn't have, in my opinion, Lawley had a lot of crap that he had to overcome. And a lot of it was probably difficult for the jury to overlook when they were deliberating. Hey, Kyra, how are you doing today? Mistrial.
We have no quit.
Alan, you're going to stay on?
Go ahead. Will not stop fighting. We have no quit.
Alan, you're going to stay on?
Go ahead.
Oh, you heard that? Someone shouted, Alan, are you going to stay on? That's what I would. I mean, I'm sure, you know, they did a good job, I guess. And she probably wants the same team. Get Alan, get Jackson up there. I don't know if she's going to.
I just have two things to say, folks. Number one, I am in awe of the strength and courage of this remarkable client that I've had the privilege of representing since day one. And number two, I want to send a message to all of her supporters out there. Your support was invaluable. We are touched, and we ask for your continued support. I'm not from Texas.
Oi, Alan, are you fucking going to stay on? I'm doing all right. How are you? I'm doing okay. I redid my garden because I told you guys I was planting my flowers. I went to Vegas for about 2 days. I came back. Everything was like in flames. Okay. I'm being very hyperbolic, but I came back and everything was crispy and I was like, no. So yesterday I replanted some of the flowers and then I built this shade tent for them. Now, if it rains or if it's windy, the whole thing is going to just fall over because it's the worst. It's just horrible, but it's working for now. I'll put pictures in my Discord.
All of her supporters out there, your support was invaluable. We are touched, and we ask for your continued support. I'm not from Texas, like my colleague here. I'm a Boston kid, but I'll repeat what he said, which is, we ain't got no quit.
That was the defense team outside of court right after the mistrial. We want to go now back to Michael Coyne, dean at the Massachusetts School of
Jackson Unetti, yes, if she can afford them, they're expensive. I heard rumblings about potentially there might be a doc made out of this, and that would make sense. So it might be to them worth it to want to stay on this case for the future, you know, in case, I don't know, that could be a way to like get more recognition to your law firm, fame, whatever. So, you know, maybe they'll decide to continue to stay on. I don't know. Maybe like at like a reduced rate, or maybe, you know, there is enough money to pay them. But it's crazy. I just can't imagine if I was someone and there was a mistrial and then it's like, shit, you got to pay for the attorney fees all over again. Like, like how does that work? I wonder how much that is.
of Law and our legal expert. Michael, one of the questions I wanted to...
I think that was it. Yeah, that was it. I don't think there was any other...
A Boston police officer for 16 years, 46 years old. And at this point, there has been no accountability for his death.
2.5 years since his death. It was January 29th, 2022, and here we are on July 1st, 2024, and they will have to retrial if they decide to retry this case within a year. And your questions will be, will it be as long? Michael Coyne, our legal expert, just said it is unusual to have this lengthy a case. It was 9 weeks. There were over 600 pieces of evidence. There were 74 witnesses. And
I wonder if Lolly's going to trim down the witness list this time.
That is a tremendous amount of information for that 12 jurors to take in. And despite that, they said those 12 jurors, when they went to the judge, said it wasn't the law that they were having a problem with. It was the convictions of the O'Keeffes who have sat there also every day during the 29 days of testimony, during the 9 weeks they have.
Okay, that's it from there. But I don't know. Let's see if the jury is going to talk. There was like a footage that I saw of there were police around the courtroom trying to make sure the jury can leave safely and people won't be able to like figure out who they are. But I'm like, how do you organize that? How do you, I don't know. That seems like so hard to organize, especially with like a lot of people around in the courtroom. There's like cameras and stuff. How do you make sure they leave without people figuring out like, oh my God, wait, are those a jury? I don't know. Hi, lady. How are you doing today? How's it going? How's it going? I wanted, I would just pile it on and could only get 2 mistrials. The question is, the state can do anything before it becomes double jeopardy. Some of the witnesses will have legal issues themselves after this. Maybe. Get out the sheets. I was wondering, oh, the sheets to hide the jury in. Well, I mean, they have to drive back home. Might be better to get them a bus and then transport them to somewhere else. And then, I don't know, like, what's the best way to do it? I was wondering how they maintain the jury's privacy as well, right? Well, I know that when you're in the courtroom, you can see what they look like. But I'm trying to see if I can find that little... It was like, she was reporting on the street. Oh, I think this part right here. Maybe this part?
Either way, we will be seeing more of this within the next coming month. You will read they had as they do intend to retry Karen Reed.
I don't know. She was talking about it. Like, she was saying there was like police everywhere. And wait, where are they? Is this a courtroom? It's like in a neighborhood. They're just making sure that, you know, people don't like overwhelm the jury. I bet the first juror to spill the beans will be awarded a handsome compensation for their efforts. Yeah, I actually do wonder about that because remember the Murdoch trial? 3 of the jurors, they went on the they like flew to New York with Ms. Becky and did that interview. I wonder how much they were compensated for that. But oh man, I can't wait to hear what they're gonna say. Or maybe they won't say anything. You know, maybe it'll be kind of quiet. Because remember after the Murdoch one too. Sorry, no, not the Murdoch one. What was the other case that was pretty big? I feel like the jurors were pretty quiet. Not the Depp v. Heard one, because they came out and, you know, talked about how they didn't believe Amber Heard and that they thought she was fake crying. Was there another case? What am I thinking of? Can't think of it for now. Think someone will? Yeah, I mean, I think so. But I don't know if you were the minority, if you'd be willing to speak out, I guess. She has another letter. Am I going to read it? There's another letter. Not the 58-page one. There's like a new letter. Who would the letter be for? She's her own attorney now. She doesn't need to write letters unless she's writing the letter to the judge, maybe. I don't know. Honestly, I think she's just writing to all of us. That might be what it is. Correspondence filed from the defendant to the judge. Oh gosh, you're right. I think there is a letter, but it's not 58 pages. 5 pages. That's a huge trim down. 5 pages. A new letter. The Chad Daybell jurors came out pretty quick to talk. Oh, I heard about that. Late replacement on the jury just happens to be a retired cop. Only takes one to hold out. I don't know anything about that. I know there are rumblings about that, but I don't know if that's like super confirmed or anything. Yes, that's the rumor, but too early to lend this credence, I would say. All right, y'all. Well, I mean, that's all I got for the Karen Reed stuff. Like I said, I had a nightmare about this, and then my nightmare was different, though. It was a mistrial because some other shit, not because, you know, the jury couldn't come to an agreement. But, oh boy, we're done-ish for now with the Karen Reed stuff. They'll be back in about 3 weeks to have a conference and see where everyone's at. I really just want to hear from Mr. Lawley. I want to know what he thinks, where he's at with this. I want to know if he's going to be like impassionate to try this case again, or if he's just going to be like, yeah, I guess I'll try the case again. I mean, what else do I got? I don't know. My nightmare was right, though. Just anxiety. But what's interesting, I was in someone else's stream earlier. Whose was it? Oh, it was, Emily Baker's stream. And there were actually other people in her chat that also had nightmares about this. I was like, oh my God, I'm not the only person. Because I was having nightmares. It was like anxiety, and I was like dreaming about like stupid shit about this. I'm like, oh God, I'm like so done. But I will say though, over this past weekend, I did not dream about this case. So I think I had more nightmares about my garden just being up in flames again and just having a total meltdown. All right. So, I mean, that's it for the Karen Reed stuff. The state says they're going to retry. We'll see what happens then. You know, maybe Lolly would be like, hey, I'm not touching this again. Get someone else to do it. Or maybe Lolly would just be very fired up to do it a second time. Maybe he'll, you know, watch the playback and then realize that, oh, I can do better on X, Y, and Z. Maybe. And then maybe not be so wordy when questioning the witnesses and confusing them. That could help. All right. So next on, we have the Sarah Boone stuff. Thanks for, shout out to Big Von for letting me know that there's a new correspondence from Sarah Boone. Oh, that's from 6/28. Wait, how did I miss this correspondence? What? It was from last Friday. How did I miss this? Oh boy. So Sarah Boone has had 8 attorneys. I think I counted 4 of them decided to withdraw because of irreconcilable differences. And the other 4, it was probably just because of like conflict and stuff. Now, the judge has had enough of Sarah Boone's shit. And he's a new judge to this. Previously, we had Judge Wayne Wooten, I think was his name. And Judge Wayne Wooten, maybe he's on, I don't know what happened to Judge Wayne Wooten. Maybe something else, like scheduling conflict, or he's doing something else, or moved. I don't know. I don't know anything about Judge Wayne Wooten. But now we have Judge Kranick. And, well, Judge Kranick went through the 8th attorney change. So we went from Mr. Winston Hobson, who was the 7th attorney, to Patricia Cashman, the 8th attorney. And so he's been on this case for, I think, about maybe half a month now, or not half a month, half a year now, maybe? Half a year? Maybe a little bit more than that. I don't know. Time goes by so fast. But Judge Kranick, he's not going to put up with Sarah Boone's shit. And he's like, you know what? You've had 4 people withdrawn for irreconcilable differences, and you're just going to have to represent yourself. So no more Patricia Cashman. If I remember, the pretrial motions have had to be, let's see, it has to be filed by July 22nd. I don't know what pretrial motion Sarah Boone's going to file, but there's a correspondence, and I will read it. Okay. Well, let's see what she's complaining about. Oh, man. I honestly just don't want her to represent herself, because what we're going to get from the letters, we're going to be seeing it in the courtroom from her. Like, I'd rather just have 2 attorneys arguing it out, duking it out in court, than having an attorney, you know, and then having the defendant who's not really going to know what they're doing. I don't know, man. It's going to be such a shit show. Ay, ay, ay. Sarah Boone is so scared. I do feel bad for her judge already, though. No nonsense judge. When was this dated? June 25th. So this was dated June 25th, which would be after, let's see, motion to withdraw. No, this is actually before the motion to withdraw, right? Motion to withdraw was on the 11th, okay, and then they granted it on the 28th. Okay, so this is before she knew that she was going to represent herself, or maybe she already had an inkling that it was going to happen. Dear Your Honor, or Your Honor, it was made known to me by an officer here at the Orange County Corrections Department that my attorney, Patricia A. Cashman, has submitted her motion to withdraw on 6/11, which now explains why she has not contacted me nor answered calls. Wait a second. So does that mean that she was contacting you before, Sarah Boone? That she was answering some of your calls? Why hasn't anyone sent me a copy so I know? To confirm my exclusion in my case, especially by Attorney Cashman, and stated in all of my letters previously written, I was not included and am finding out weeks later. Judge Kranick, I am trying to receive, please, a copy of her withdrawal to better understand her reason for the undisclosed departure from my case. Oh, come on. She's like, it seems like she's like playing stupid here. Like, oh, I wonder why she could be withdrawing from my case. I really wonder. After I insulted her in my, part of my 58-page letter, after I insulted her in open court last time, I wonder why she's withdrawing. No attempt was made on her part to solve or remedy in some type of discussion professionally beforehand. Therefore, I'm having to include you for this request as I did with my most recent letters. Please understand, I'm trying to understand. With my attempted withdrawal, with her attempted withdrawal, my very legitimate concern now is nor having all of my case contents returned to me. As with most of the prior attorneys. To date, many of my evidentiary case items cannot be located after my numerous requests to the attorney on my case at that time and to Attorney Cashman. No one knows where my case items are, who has what, or cares to research and return that I am no longer under their representation. Shrugged shoulders, avoidance, and lies of where anything may be is all I have received when requesting from former unwilling, disingenuous attorneys. These are my case documents. Attorney Cashman stated to me more than once from me asking repeatedly about that she had reviewed all of my discovery, which I was withheld from reviewing also. So I do not even know all she has specifically and completely and what was available to me. Your Honor, how can I ensure, please, the return of all of my case contents from Attorney Cashman? When may I finally review my discovery and the contents she has of my case so I know what is still missing or not? Wait, so would that mean that if she were to do depositions, the depots would be held by Sarah Boone? Oh. Boone is going to defend herself? Darrow Boone 2.0? Oh, Darrow Brooks. Pardon me for having to utilize my invaluable time to ask to receive my invaluable case items. Please understand, I'm trying to understand how and when I can finally, rightfully defend myself. Due process is due, overdue. I thank you in advance for my inclusion. I mean, honestly, so far this letter doesn't sound too bad. I mean, there are some insults, of course, thrown in here, but they're not as bad as before. I mean, she does throw in lies, disingenuous, blah, 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 blah. But I mean, it's just like, hey, like, can I get my shit? And can you make sure that I get my shit from Patricia Cashman because she's withdrawing? I would expect her to go on like a tirade about Patricia Cashman. But I mean, it's just like her making sure she wants to get her items. So it's not too bad compared to what we read before. Let's see. She crap, I lost my, where was I? Attorney Cashman stated to me more than once for me asking repeatedly about that she had reviewed all of my discovery, which I was withheld from reviewing also. So I do not even know what she specifically completely and what was available to me. Okay, I read that part. I'm sorry. Your Honor, how can I ensure the return of all my contents from Patricia Cashman? When may I finally review my discovery and the contents she has in my case so I know what is still missing or not? Okay, I'm right here. Pardon me for having to utilize your invaluable time to ask to receive my invaluable case item. Please understand I'm trying to understand how and when I can fully, rightfully defend myself. Sorry, I did read this. Due process. I thank you. Am I here? I might be here. I thank you for in advance for my inclusion to also receive a letter of Attorney Cashman's withdrawal. Wait, is this her being... Hold on a second. I think she might be... I think she's being sarcastic here. I thank you in advance for my inclusion to also receive a copy of Attorney Cashman's withdrawal notice and helping in the ensurety of all of my case contents to be returned successfully for my historical review from Cashman. Oh, no. Okay. I don't think she was being sarcastic. All other former attorneys also, please, if possible. She's like thanking him in advance. Judge Cranick, you will never understand my gratitude for listening to me, giving me opportunity to finally be heard. Oh, and your apparent, caring, judicial manner. Thank you immeasurably. Well, at least she likes the judge. I await the next appropriate step in moving forward, however, and with whomever. Oh. Huh. Moving forward with however and whoever. Oh, man. I actually do want to know what her reaction is to having to represent herself. I wonder if we're going to get a letter about that. Sincerely, Sarah Boone. Sarah Boone. For inclusion, futuristically, to ensure receipt of all correspondence to me in my case, my address is as follow. Legal correspondence. I'm also including Patricia Cashman, a copy of my letter mailed to Orlando. I mean, honestly, I would say this is like the least unhinged letter Sarah Boone has written. It's just like, hey, I just want my stuff. All right. Well, I mean, that's it for Sarah Boone. This was written about almost a week ago and posted on Friday. The handwriting's impressive. I mean, I don't know, it just looks like handwriting. I don't know, it looks okay. I think it's like a mix of cursive maybe. Hi, good guy. How are you doing today? How's it going? Hello, hello. Who's hot? Who are we talking about? She's going to be really hot. She's going to flip out. I'm sure we'll get a letter about that. Yeah, I want to know what the reaction is. Or maybe she might be thrilled that she's going to be the one who is trying the case herself. She's representing herself, you know? And she's going to have all of the documents and whatever that she needs, and she'll... Because I want to know when we have her trial in a couple of months, if we have her trial, I want to know what's her defense going to be? Because we had a preview from the previous attorneys that it was going to be the battered spouse defense, right? I want to know if she's going to stick to that, or what are some crazy shit that she's going to throw in there. I mean, for sure, she's definitely going to go up there and talk shit about the victim and then try to really... show the hey, he deserved this, or hey, I responded this way because, of all the stuff that he's put me through. But I mean, honestly, the nature of this wasn't just reactionary. Like, oh, hey, we were fighting and then I thought I was in danger of my life and I stabbed him really quickly. It happened so quickly. I don't know. it was like, it seems to happen so slowly. Like, one, we don't even know how he got into the suitcase. You know, he may have gotten in willingly because they were drunk. They're, you know, maybe just like messing around, having fun. But the painstakingly slow part of it is her leaving him in the suitcase for hours and then mocking him. So it's not just like, oh, in the you know, in the split of a second, I just wanted to defend myself and I stabbed him. It was like, no, you were there for seems like a while making fun of him and you just didn't care and you wanted to seriously go to sleep. Crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Her only defense is I didn't do intentionally. I think she was trying to say, if I remember correctly from the interrogations, she tried to say that he zipped himself in there, and then they were like, well, how did he do that if the zipper is on the outside? And then also, if you were able to zip yourself in, why wouldn't you be able to zip yourself out? I'm just trying to remember what she said. Her only defense, I didn't do it intentionally. Yeah, I think it was like she tried to say that he did it to himself, and then she was really drunk, and then she went to sleep, and then when she woke up, she realized, oh my God, is he still in there? And she like, yeah. Crazy. Could she defend herself and claim insanity plea? I mean, she would have to do like a mental evaluation and they would have to determine that. She can't just do it just cause. They would have to determine. But I mean, from her writing all these letters and stuff like that, I mean, I don't know. Hi, Roxanne. How are you doing today? Yeah. The jury came back twice today with a note, 2 notes to the judge. And the final note, the judge declared a mistrial. So how I interpreted what the jury said, it seems like some of them, so maybe that's the minority, are the ones that think that Karen Read is guilty, and then the other thought that, you know, the state didn't have enough evidence. So, didn't she record herself as he died? She recorded him while he was in the suitcase, but we don't know if he was deceased while she was recording. I don't think so, because unless the state has like some evidence about that, but from what's been revealed so far to the media outlets, we just have her mocking him. So it's possible that, you know, he died when she was like upstairs sleeping in her cozy little bed. Or maybe she was with him the entire time as he died and she pretended like she fell asleep and woke up. So. Hello, good. Oh, wow, that's interesting. Corey's worst nightmares of mistrial, which means she needs it covered again. Well, I mean, it's just the patience for Mr. Lawley. For me, in my dream, I was like, no, I don't want to sit through this with Mr. Lawley again. Like, oh my God, with the way that he does his questions, and it's so lengthy and wordy and just unnecessary. But we'll see. Maybe they'll change their mind. Can they change their mind? Can they just change their mind? Be like, oh, hey, just kidding, we're not going to try it. I thought we were begging her to let. I thought he was begging her to let her out. I think he was like saying like, Sarah, please, Sarah, please. Am I marking July 22nd? July 22nd is Treviso pretrial, and July 22nd, that might be towards the end of the Alec Baldwin. I feel like it's just pretty busy for July. I'm going to be pretty honest. Oh, yeah. We have case management for Donna Adelson on the 22nd of July. We have a pretrial hearing for Alexi Treviso, July 22nd. And then Karen Read conference, July 22nd. I have to look at what time everything is going to be, though. Maybe the times could be, it could just be a long day of like streaming. But the Alec Baldwin stuff is going to start July 8. I have in my notes that it's going to take about 8 days. So maybe towards July 22nd, they could be in deliberation or maybe be done by then. Yeah, pretty busy. And then the last day of July, we have sentencing for Nicolay Mew. Hi, Tina. How are you doing today? In case the prosecution would do a retrial and there's also a hung jury, what would be the consequence? Sorry for my bad English. Oh, you've been out of school in Germany since 1886. No, your English is perfectly fine. I don't know what happens if there is a hung jury for a second time. I don't know. I will definitely look it up, though. I wonder if I can look it up on the fly really quick. Let's see. I will have to look it up in Massachusetts because I have this when the judge can't, when the jury, you know, this is for like if like there was a second hung jury. I will look it up and I'll get back to you guys. I couldn't do another 9 weeks of Lolly. My head would explode. Maybe he'll do better. How about this? How many hung jury are allowed in Massachusetts? Oh man, I can't Google anything Massachusetts related right now. Everything comes back with the Karen Reed stuff. Because there has to be hold on a second. Do you guys remember in Florida how many times was Catherine McBanois tried? Did she get hung jury twice or only once? What am I thinking of? Wasn't there a case that was pretty big where there were 2 hung juries, but then on the third they finally decided to they were finally able to get a unanimous verdict. Yeah, I'll look up Massachusetts stuff to see what they say about that. I have like a bunch of like tabs here to read, but most of it is just focusing on like one jury trial. Not like, oh, what happens if there's more than one? Yeah, it'd be crazy. I mean, maybe at some point, I don't know, because the state, I mean, they're probably under pressure as well because they want to give answers to the victim's family. But then there's like a lot of stuff happening. It's not just giving John's family answers. It's also like, oh, okay, well, you know, like maybe they really want to come back with a guilty verdict because of all the accusations that's been thrown at them and law enforcement, the judge, and all that stuff. So I don't know if they're gonna be like gung ho on that. I also heard something about DA Michael Morrissey about something about his re-election coming up. I don't know. That's like towards the end of this year. Are they seriously going to waste the time and resources to retry Karen Reed? That's what they said. I just want to know if Lolly also agrees, but that's what the DA said. I think Lolly should just be like, you know what, Morrissey, you fucking do it. Good luck. Good job. Maybe you'll do a better job than me. But yeah, I mean, I felt like they made that statement so quickly. I don't know why they wouldn't wait a little bit, unless they know what the polling of the jury is, and maybe it was heavily favored towards them. And they're like, oh, okay, like, I'm confident in doing this all over again. But people always say, like, you never know what kind of bag of juries you're going to get, you know? I don't know. What did Alec Baldwin do this time? It's the same thing. Manslaughter of Helena Hudgens, and then also Joel Souza as well. He lived, but yeah, it's like the whole... what's that movie set? Rust? The Rust movie set that happened a couple years ago. So the Hannah Gutierrez, the armorer, she was convicted, but now it's Alec Baldwin's turn to go to trial. I would be shocked if you can get 12 people to get guilty of this evidence. There's just too many conflicting shit. I couldn't find in Google. All I found was Karen Reed related today. Yeah, Tina, I will look it up, and then if I find it, I'll post it in our Discord. I don't know if you're in our Discord, but I'll post it in our Discord because there's a way that you can Google and you can exclude certain results from popping up. Hi, Dominique. How are you doing today? How's it going? Yeah, so we covered the Karen Reed mistrial, and then we finished up with Sarah Boone today. But yes, it is a hung jury, and they want to do it again. Yeah, they made the statement saying they were going to retry the case. But I wonder if it was hasty of them to make that announcement. Why not just wait? I don't know. That seems so foolish. I haven't been following that case super closely, but I know the court of redo. That seems so foolish. I haven't been following that case super closely, but I know the court of public opinion seems to think that they shouldn't have even charged her in the first place. Wild. A lot of us just have issues with, I don't know, there's just too much issues with the evidence. Too much issue. And then when you have different interpretations of evidence, you have to interpret what's in favor of the defendant because, again, you're supposed to presume that she's innocent. I wonder if the Karen Reed case, if they use mistrial to show doubt to CW and end up pleading, you know, that's what I'm wondering too as well, Rachel. I wonder if maybe they will just not go for second-degree murder. I mean, honestly, I think that's a huge struggle for them. Huge struggle. I don't know how they got to second-degree murder, but maybe Trooper Paul, when he was explaining the evidence to Lolly, you know, privately, maybe he did better than when he went on the stand or something. Because when he went on the stand, it was kind of like, you know, this is not looking good, Trooper Paul. I don't know. But then again, Lolly should know. I don't know. I just feel like if I was Lolly, I would be very disappointed that Trooper Paul didn't try other experiments into figuring out what happened to John O'Keefe, you know? I don't know. I feel like, even though I feel like Lolly should have also known better too, but I don't know. Hi, Patty Cat. How are you doing today? How's it going? So maybe they are planning to retry her, but on less serious charges. Oh yeah, I'll post. This is the link to my Discord. If you guys haven't already, feel free to join it. Another Boone letter. No way, but also yay. Hi, Patty Cat. Okay, I want to say this though, Patty Cat. This Boone letter is not unhinged, not completely unhinged. She throws some insults here and there, but I think it was an okay letter. It was just her wanting her to get her files and all that stuff in order. But this letter was written before they granted Patricia Cash's motion to withdraw and before she was told that she's going to have to represent herself. So we'll have to wait until the next letter. Way too much shady shit going on with the case. Unfortunate all around. Yeah. I mean, you could just see how upset John O'Keefe's mother is sitting there in the courtroom. Super upset, shaking her head. It was the first case I had reasonable doubt. I didn't know what happened. Yep. Yeah. The butt dials. Yeah, and honestly, there were so many things. Like, I don't know, we had questions about so many things that was never really answered. I know that they had a technical expert explain the Jen McCabe search history. And I think some of her cell phone stuff too. But I wanted to get, I don't know, like metadata on like some of the screenshots, right? Or I don't know. Like there were so many things that I wanted to see, and then we just didn't really hear about it. Because remember, like one thing, the first thing that popped up was the picture of Colin's, what do you call this? Knuckles. So remember how they're like, oh, like, you know, he didn't have injuries, you know, after John O'Keefe was found because like, here's a picture from when he was at our house. And yeah, here's a picture. But it's like, oh, but how do you know that picture is from where it was really taken, right? And I was like, oh, maybe they'll be like, you know, they'll have like metadata on that. But I guess they didn't have that. Also for the, I don't know, the screenshots of the conversation, like, I don't know, is there gonna be an expert that's gonna explain that like, oh, these screenshots look good, they don't look doctored in any way, or I don't know. I guess there's just a lot of things that I was just very, I was like kind of waiting to see if there's gonna be like, you know, more evidence that like, oh, okay, the evidence looks good and it's not questionable. Oh, this is Sarah Boone's handwriting. Canton seems rotten. I read this article to you guys last Friday. So they had like a town meeting, and it was like, I think I forgot what a number was. I think it was like 800 to 700 vote that they're going to look into the police department and like maybe do like an investigation. So it seems like people in Canton are, you know, like they know what's going on in their town, and it doesn't seem like they're very happy with what happened. Rachel, the overwhelming amount of underhanded moves made by CW witness led me to doubt everything. I came into this case with no prior knowledge of the incident, strictly as a juror would, and I was stunned. Yeah, I think a lot of us did. Yeah, I mean, I read like a little bit of a synopsis about the case, but it was so confusing that I didn't know who was who or what was what, and I was like getting really confused. Like there was like family members, there was law enforcement. And then I heard about some of the rumblings with the federal stuff. But I mean, for the most part, a lot of us came in here like just, okay, like we don't really know like what evidence there is. We don't really know, you know, what happened. Let's just figure it out. The defense did a good job the defense did a great job muddying up the whole trial. Because I'm trying to think. If the defense never brought up the cover-up conspiracy, right? If they never brought that up, would that I don't know. I think I would still have questions though. I feel like I would still have questions. Because I know because the conspiracy thing was brought up, I was very, kind of like giving Jen McCabe the side eye when she was testifying. The Alberts, I was trying to be really fair, but it was like really hard to, oh man, I don't know if I could really, rely on Jen McCabe. I probably would have to rely on someone like, maybe Carrie Roberts or the firefighters, right? The paramedics. But even if I wasn't thinking about the conspiracy thing and we believe what Jen McCabe said and we believed, all the Alberts and stuff like that, I don't know. I still think that it was still really tough for the Commonwealth to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. Now, what I think in defense closing argument, I think, Jackson did a good job. I think Jackson, in my opinion, I'm not an attorney or anything, but I'm sure he knows better than me. But I think Jackson should have just focused on like how the state just didn't meet beyond a reasonable doubt. Just really focus on that, and then just tear apart like everything about what Lolly was presenting. Definitely bring up like the the cover up thing, maybe like in the beginning or the end. But I think he spent too much time on the cover up thing. I think he should just really focus on like, hey, like, the fucking evidence doesn't prove X, Y, and Z. Like, I don't know. I just felt like they focused too much on the cover-up stuff in the closing argument. But maybe, maybe that went well for some of the members of the jury. They should have just focused on reasonable doubt at the end and forgot their theory. I think there was enough for the defense. I mean, honestly, I'll have to wait to see if the jury will come out and do a interview or talk about it, because maybe it did work. Maybe what Jackson did up there, maybe it did resonate with some of the people, and that's why a lot of them stuck to it. Lolly should have been prosecuted for the flip video. I honestly think the flip video, I don't think he knew, because the flip video wouldn't be unfavorable for him anyways. Because remember, when the car came in, it showed the view of the tail light that should have been broken. But then when you saw it being pulled in, it's like, oh, the tail light, I mean, it looks like it's red. So I think genuinely Lolly just didn't know and wasn't paying attention. I don't know. I read, like, there's one motion that I read that Lolly wrote, and there was a lot of small little mistakes in there that seemed like it was written maybe in a rush and he didn't look it over twice or something. Like, I don't know if Lolly, maybe he's just really busy, maybe he really is the only one that's working on this, and maybe he's just overworked. I don't know, but I think the flip video thing was just very sloppy. Tina says, like, what was a red flag for me? Albert, as a first responder, not coming out of the house. He knows what could be so helpful, and no one looking inside of the house if all is okay. Jen, no concerns. There was so much proof that there was no proof. Corey, did you watch Jackson's closing from the beginning to end, or did you watch here with all the stop starts? I watched it I watched the entire thing. I think, weren't you here when I watched it? We watched the entire thing. We watched the entirety of, well, I actually watched it twice, because I watched it, I think, ahead of time, and then I watched it again with you guys. But I was very focused on Lolly though, because there were issues with Lolly's case that I wanted to know if he was going to address them or ignore them in closing argument. But it seems like Lolly acknowledged the inconsistency about, well, for me, it was the Ring camera. And then he just like acted like there was nothing wrong with it. So I was like, okay, that's weird. I wonder if the jury thought it was weird. I also want to know if the jury, so for us, we knew that there was a federal investigation because we're all talking about it amongst each other. I do wonder if there were people that were sitting on the jury, if they didn't pick up that there was a federal investigation, and that, the people that were testifying on the stand were hired by the feds. I wonder if they just thought, oh, these are the defense experts that were hired by, the defense, even though they said it multiple times. The defense made it very clear. They're like, oh, we didn't hire you guys, right? Okay, you guys were hired from someone else, right? Okay. But I wonder if maybe if they knew about that, or if they picked up about that, and they just decided to, side with the state's witnesses, expert witnesses, instead of, the crash reconstructionist people from ARCA. Ken says, Jen McCabe looks suspicious as hell. So it says you can have unlimited mistrials, but it is rare for more than 2. I feel like if you were to have that many mistrials, I don't know. If you were eventually convicted, like, I don't know, could that be issues for appeal? Like, imagine having like 4 mistrials, like, and they were all because the jury couldn't come to the conclusion. Lolly putting up a time on the screen for his closing argument. He forgot to add in the actual time of the crime. You couldn't make it up. For me, it was when Lolly was going to play a video of something and the video didn't play. And then we're like, what are we looking at? And then he just kept going. I'm like, oh, okay. I don't know if the video ended up not playing or if it was just something that I didn't understand what he was trying to do. The only I couldn't make sure for me was the photos side by side in Lolly's closing before the car was loaded on the truck. Oh man, I was here, but you did all the stop starts. Wait, what are the stop starts? Like play it and then stop and talk about it and then continue it, or I think I know what you mean, Nicole. So for Jackson, yes, for Jackson, I listened to it, but I think when I played it for you guys, I might have picked up just the highlights and played it. Maybe that's what it was. But then for Lolly, because I was more, I was being a little more picky about Lolly's closing argument than the defense's. I think that's what you mean. He 100% knew. That's why the prosecution couldn't find it. And 2, it was played in the court. They hoped the defense wouldn't figure out it was flipped. She admitted to hitting him to like 4 people. Are we not accepting Karen Reed's own words? Her dad and Karen Reed said it. She knew where the body was in like 8 inches of snow. I haven't played her interview. I guess we can play her interview now that this is over. You guys want to watch the Karen Reed interview? Her and her dad did an interview. I know a lot of people are really, really hung up on the I hit him thing. For me, it sounded, when I first heard it, and I've said this multiple times, I guess, but I was like, oh, that's really bad. But I was waiting for someone to, I don't know, have like a report that was written right afterwards, or maybe there was some action that would reflect them thinking that she was the suspect at the time, because again, they let her leave the scene with Carrie Roberts. They only brought her back in because they tried to get her sectioned and have her admitted to the hospital. I don't know. I just feel like there's just way too many issues with a lot of stuff. So like whenever I would anchor myself onto something where it's like, oh, I can anchor myself to the I hit him thing. But then as more people testified and then, there's some holes that are revealed, I'm like, I'm actually not really quite sure. But I don't think I've watched the Karen Reed interview with you guys yet. I watched it on my own already. Interview, and then there was one that her dad did, right? Karen Reed dad interview. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, this one. And this one, right? It's like 2 minutes long. I don't know. This one says 2 minutes long. Is this the one that I watched? Let me go on my history. Hold on. Karen Reed interview. This is her parents. Where's her interview? Oh, here's a 9 minutes one. Okay, I found it.
According to Canton police reports, after the snow melted.
Let me see. When does she talk? I'm going to have to jump around.
With murder,
John O'Keefe
has strenuously denied the allegations.
I did not kill John O'Keefe. I've never harmed a hair on John O'Keefe's head.
Her defense in a cover-up.
You're alleging that law enforcement officials in this state committed murder and that they're covering it up. Why would they want to be involved in this?
Because he's dead. I think things went too far. It was late. There was alcohol involved, but they're all family. And there's many of them involved.
After posting bail, Reed has spent
Family and my attorneys and
months in and out of court awaiting a trial date.
And me and my family and my attorneys and my team have marshaled every resource to get to the truth. It just feels like no one else wants it.
Prosecutors allege that no reason to harm her boyfriend.
I would call him the patron saint of Canton. He was just very selfless, frugal, and I think you'd be hard-pressed to find anyone that didn't care for John.
The couple first dated in their
Honestly, I wish the interview was it's like super heavily unedited, and I don't know if they reordered something. So
20s and
really-
reconnected
like
more than
meh.
a decade later in the middle of the pandemic.
So how did you meet up again?
He had reached out to me on Facebook and he said, "Hey, blast from the past, how's things?" And when I saw his picture, his profile picture was with several young children, and then it triggered my memory that his sister and his sister's husband had passed away. And he told me, "Yeah, I have the kids now." I admired that. I thought that was amazing.
Soon, Reed take care of the kids.
He would go to work and I would stay with his niece and nephew. All of the breaks that the kids had, we did something.
But their relationship of the kids, and that he criticized some of the decisions she made with them.
We had had an argument on New Year's Eve. We were away on vacation, and he became incoherently drunk. And I ended up ringing in the new year with his niece and nephew. John didn't come back to our room till after 3 a.m. So that was rough. I felt very much taken advantage of. He apologized profusely for what happened on New Year's Eve, and he said, "If you can't get over it, then you need to spend some time at yours. I can't keep apologizing. I don't want to keep rehashing this."
A few weeks
Not fine.
Both times I met Brian Albert, he seemed like the type of person that you'd be surprised he's out socially because he doesn't seem like he ever wants to be there.
but at the bar, Reed
I could probably see that.
says there was an invitation to continue hanging out at Albert's home.
Lolly she didn't take off her shoes. I do wonder if sometimes attorneys know they're making ridiculous arguments, but they just put it out there just in case. Hey, you never know what the jury might resonate with. I wonder, maybe that's what it is. To me, it sounds silly, but
I said, "Can we make sure we're welcome here?" Nobody extended the invite to me. I didn't hear the invite extended to you.
They drive to the Alberts' house.
I pull at the...
What happens next is disputed.
So I pull at the foot of the driveway. It's snowing. John has no coat on. It's windy. So I drop him off. He goes up the driveway and approaches the side door. And as I see him approach the door, I look down at my phone.
Reed says after about 10 minutes of waiting in her car, she became irritated.
I wish we could just hear it from her directly instead of having the narrator telling us what she's telling them. Like, I'd rather just, can we just get like the unedited version and just hear her talk? I want to hear her talk.
That O'Keefe still hadn't gotten in touch with her, and she drove back to his home where she continued calling him before, she says, she fell asleep around 1:30 in the morning. She then says she woke up before 5 a.m. He still wasn't home. She then started canvassing the neighborhood.
Just gonna drive around in the 2 square miles that we spent the preceding night.
After 20 minutes of unsuccessful searching,
This is the first time you ever heard her talk?
she called John's friend, Carrie Roberts, and Jennifer McCabe, Brian Albert's sister-in-law, who was also...
How soon was it when you pulled in there that you saw John's body?
Immediately. And what struck me when I saw him was his mouth was open a little bit and his eyes were shut and he had spots of blood in different areas on his face.
O'Keefe was taken to the hospital and pronounced dead. He died from blunt...
Yeah, see, like, I don't know. I feel like we need like I'd rather just hear the unedited version. Because Carrie Roberts said that when she saw John O'Keefe, he had snow in his face and she had to dust it off him. So I don't know if she meant the like afterwards, or I don't know. It's hard to pick apart someone's story if you're gonna have this like heavily edited version of it, right? So I mean, honestly, when she did the interview, I didn't think it sounded too bad.
forced trauma and hypothermia. And it wasn't long before Reed became the #1 suspect. Authorities say they had noticed a cracked taillight after they seized her car.
I had told both Jen and Carrie that I cracked my taillight. I said I just hit my car on top of everything, but I didn't look at the damage. And both women said, "It's cracked. It's cracked. Calm down. You cracked your taillight. You're okay. Let's go look for John."
But according to police statements, Jennifer McCabe told authorities that while they were looking for O'Keefe, Reed stated, "Could I have hit him? Did I hit him?" And when O'Keefe...
I don't know. And seeing that's different than I hit him. Oh, I don't know.
his body was discovered, first responders who arrived on the scene say they overheard.
I just want to listen to her.
I hit him. Firefighter said that you said, I hit him.
I said I hit him. It was preceded by a did and proceeded by a question mark. What I thought could have happened was that did I incapacitate him unwittingly, somehow, and then in his drunkenness, passed out?
When you walked out of the bar, how many drinks had you had?
I had had probably about 4.
The Commonwealth says that you had 9 drinks that night. That's what the prosecution says.
I don't believe they're saying I wasn't in my right mind.
No, they were saying you were intoxicated. Is it possible that you might have hit him unwittingly in your admittedly very large SUV?
No, not possible.
She remembers crackling her taillight, but doesn't remember between the waterfall and the house. Yeah, because she said she remembers cracking the taillight, told Carrie and Jen, and they're like, oh, you cracked your taillight. But I know that, who testified again? I don't know if it was Proctor or Buchanan that testified, saying that, like, oh, when they asked her what happened to the taillight, she was like, oh, I don't remember. But I don't know. But see, here's the thing. When they wanted her to testify, there were issues with them. It's like, I don't know if I can really take your word for it, you know?
3 days after O'Keefe was
there's just too much issues with this investigation. Way too much.
found dead, investigators arrested Reed for manslaughter.
I think that's it. I don't think we'll really hear too much from her.
More at the scene, but Reed's attorney, Alan Jackson, has a different theory about how those fragments of taillight got there.
Those pieces of taillight were placed there after the fact.
You're saying evidence was planted.
The pieces of taillight were planted after the fact.
What does the defense believe actually happened to John after Karen dropped him off?
I think he walked into the house. I think he was confronted, was likely brought down to the basement. I think that confrontation got physical, and he was beaten. He was beaten to a point of unconsciousness.
Jackson argues that the autopsy photos of O'Keefe support his theory and not the prosecution's claim.
Looks like he's been in a fist fight and he's been beaten. He's got some defensive wound bruises on the backs of his hand. He's got this massive laceration on the back of his head, a big giant gash, about 2.5 inches, exactly lateral, going from left to right. 2 black eyes, cut over his right eye, cut over his nose. This was a cover-up that John was murdered inside that house. His body was placed outside.
But in a statement to ABC News,
DA says there's no conspiracy to cover up. Such claims have been systematically refuted by the evidence submitted to Norfolk Superior Court. That's Mr. Lally. That's it. And then this is the interview that I watched with her parents. It's very short, though.
Storm to there's Taunton. Get right before spent worry a lot of time
to be
became serious in 2019. Right.
So these are her parents
before the pandemic.
They just seem to be in a happy place, you know. Yeah.
And spending a lot of time together.
Yes. Yes.
Vacations together.
Yep.
Going out together.
If the relationship had become apparent during a snowball during discussion in Albert, Karen says she dropped John off there for a get-together. During your first discussions with Karen, did she believe she may have hit John?
No. No. She felt she struck something. She said, Dad, I think I struck something. I said, what do you mean? Right? This was in the hospital. Right? She says, I remember, all right, backing up and hitting something.
Police find damage to the...
See, so people can either take that information and be like, oh, well, that's her saying that she might have hit John O'Keefe. But you could also say, oh, it's her saying that, you know, that's when she hit John's car. I don't know. It's hard to take that one little tiny statement and then apply it to any of those two scenarios. We need more information. We need more unedited, just like, I just need to hear more. Or like, oh, what else did she say? And when did she say this happened? Was it when she was dropping him off, or was it when she was leaving the house, right? I just want the unedited versions of these interviews.
The passenger side taillight of Karen's Lexus LX 570. How the damage occurred is in hours after police say she hit him. Here's the video.
Yeah, so here's the backing up thing.
She backs up to go out and search for John O'Keefe. And that's how that vehicle was damaged.
In court documents, prosecutors say the video...
Okay, so it's about her backing up. I don't know. I just wish we could just hear the entire thing.
Or pieces of a broken taillight were discovered in John's driveway.
Look at it, frame by frame. And you tell me whether or not.
Oh, I love it that you guys are agreeing to disagree. I don't know. They were in a happy place. I mean, they were annoying each other.
The O'Keefe vehicle, the left rear.
Okay, so now they're talking about the. I think that's about it. I mean, I don't really get much. Let's see what the parents say.
Comment.
Our investigators also have found multiple people who have been attacked by the dog. I think John O'Keefe and.
Okay, I think that's it.
Or fight. If the events happen the way Karen's attorneys say they did, how many people would have to be involved in the cover-up?
My sense is that there are a handful of people, influential people, who know what happened. And ultimately, all right, will resolve these issues. My daughter will be free. That's what I believe.
Are you confident of that as well?
Yes. Yep.
Is Karen
Yes.
that confident?
Yes. Yeah. We are.
The Norfolk County.
Experts say his body condition isn't consistent with the vehicular accident and the dog bites. Question mark, question, question mark. I mean, it's possible that people in the jury just thought Trooper Paul was more credible. That would make sense to me, I guess, if they thought that and they came with a guilty verdict. I think Trooper Paul fell apart in cross-examination, but it's possible that people thought Trooper Paul was, came across as credible and they believed him over ARCA people. I just wanted to find the right person. I know. I just I just wish there was just like one neighbor that would just come out and be like, "Hey, actually, guys, I just uncovered this ring footage that I had, and I didn't know that it was saved, but here it is. Here's what happened to John O'Keefe." That's not gonna happen. That's me thinking in like La La Fantasy Land. Oh gosh. Sorry, I'm gonna delete any spam in here. Feel free to discuss the case, but I don't know. I don't want like drive-by like spam stuff. All right, y'all. I mean, that's it for today. I'll see you guys on the 22nd for sure, but I'm definitely going to see you guys before that because Alec Baldwin's trial is going to come up. And then, like I said, on the 22nd, the day that we're going to have a conference for Karen Reed stuff, it's also going to be case management for Donna Adelson and Alexi Treviso update. So I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so much for, having a good chat. I appreciate you guys disagreeing with each other and then, being good to each other. When is that? July 22nd. But Alec Baldwin, that will be, is it next week? Oh, the Alec Baldwin stuff starts next week. I'm still going to stream on Twitch though, but on YouTube, guys, that's it for today. If you guys missed it earlier, we covered mistrial, Karen Reed, and then thank you, Big Von, for pointing out the Sarah Boone letter. We read her letter very briefly. Could the jury feel intimidated with all the police? If they feel... What do you mean? Like with the police hanging around the courtroom or, I mean, if the jury feels a certain way, I'm sure they can let the judge know like, hey, we feel like there's intimidation going on from X, Y, and Z. So if they feel that way, I'm sure they can tell the judge unless, if the jury doesn't feel like they can trust the judge, that's like a whole nother rabbit hole that I don't even know. Let's just wait until the jury comes out and speaks about it and let's see what they say. Ooh, that's going to be good. You shared the video on Discord. Thank you. And yeah, I will look up to see if, I don't know, how many mistrials can there be in Massachusetts, right? But I'm sure the state, I don't know, like, I don't know. I don't know what the state's going to think. Because I wonder at some point they're like, okay, well, this is just a waste of resources. Maybe we shouldn't pursue, or maybe they will go after her with the lesser charges. Maybe they're like, super, gung-ho into this and they're like, no, we're gonna get answers no matter what. I don't know where the state stands, but it seems like so far right now, because their statement came out seems a little hasty, but seems like they are gonna try it again and maybe they're confident or something. I don't know. They made the statement so fast. Bye to all my interweb buds going out for dinner. Bye, have fun. I just can't get on board with the grand conspiracy theory. I'm there with you, Aaron. Have fun, Morden. I think they should drop it. Yeah, I think I don't know. I don't think they have enough, but maybe they found out what the poll was. And maybe they're confident or something. I don't know. They got money to waste. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Yeah, I would change of venues in order. I feel like it will be very hard to find people who don't know about this case. I don't know, but maybe I don't know. It must be so big in their town right now. We'll see. Because it's not like you can't get, because there are going to be people out there that probably have heard about the case, but, you know, they're going to have to be, you know, questioned, right? About whether or not they can be unbiased. So, and that's kind of like a, you know, like a code of honor thing. ADA Lolly is incompetent. Yeah, we have a lot of issues with Lolly. Massachusetts is such a small state. The only place they could move it to is like Springfield. I agree. All right, y'all. Well, thank you so much for hanging out on YouTube. I will see you guys. And other than that, I think it's pretty clear what happened. To me, it's just not clear. I was thinking maybe at most, you know, he could have threw the cocktail glass at the taillight, which is what Arca, you know, said. The damage looks very similar. And then maybe as she backed up, she like scratched his arm. But where it stops for me is right there. I don't think the state proves that, you know, with their experts, I don't think they proved that she was the cause of his death. Like, he could have just had some scratches and then sustained the injuries a different way. But to me, that's where it stops. Like, maybe at most, like, his arm got scratched by the taillight. But yeah. Corey, you going to the magic glass theory? Well, that's what we were talking about. Well, what if there were somehow two glasses there? What if one glass came from the one that was at the waterfall bar? And then what if the second cocktail glass came from, I don't know, like what if John was double fisting? Or what if they had a glass in their car? I don't know where it came from. I don't know. Because I want to go back and listen to the glass on the bumper. Because I'm actually not clear now if it was one glass piece that didn't match or if all the glass pieces didn't match. Because the more we talked about it, the more it was conflicting for me. Why did Karen Reed call John O'Keefe a pervert? It's my understanding, or it seems like she thought that he was out cheating on her and she was really pissed. I don't know. That's what I was assuming. Oh, interesting, two glasses. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. But for me, if I was the jury, right, you wouldn't have to do such strenuous mental gymnastics in order to make their case for them. They're supposed to be the ones to explain to you what happened. And instead of us saying like, oh, maybe this happened, maybe that happened. No, the state has to do it for us. So that's why for me, it would be not beyond a reasonable doubt. So not guilty. But yeah, I want to go back to listen to the bumper and the glass thing. I'm hoping the DOJ is looking to the various PDs and FBI is looking to the RICO charges. All right, guys. But yeah, that's it. Karen is very insecure about the cheating. So much she tried to do it herself. That McCabe lady is cold. Dominique says, that's what I heard. I don't know what Swingers has anything to do with it, though. Lolly completely failed conveying a convincing chain of events. Yeah, I agree with that. Yep. When you start with maybe this, or yeah, it was like maybe sort of this XYZ, and it's like, even Lolly didn't seem like he was convinced. I don't know. You think the gymnastics were more in the defense? I think it was on, well, for the defense, it was like, I was trying to see if I believe what they were saying. I think it was on both sides, but I mean, we were focusing on whether or not the state had enough to prove that Karen Reed was guilty, right? It's like, oh, the defense, they're just going to throw whatever they can and then see, you know, what works for them. But for me, I was like really trying to figure out, okay, like, did Karen do it? You know, like, what's going on here? Have I seen the DUI guys, Jen McCabe series? No, I have not. I have not seen that. All right, y'all. I think that's it. So thank you so much for hanging out. I keep reading the chat. I'm like, let's just keep going. But no, that's it. Thanks for hanging out. I appreciate you guys being here. And I will see you guys later. If you guys haven't, if you're not caught up with the Sarah Boone stuff, she is now going to be representing herself. And yeah, good luck to her. Good luck to her. And I'm saying that in a very mischievous way. Not good luck because I'm rooting for her, but good luck as in, look at what happened to you. Bye.